A lot of bidding games, right? So try new ones.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Diego, for your answers.
You're welcome.
All right. Judith Darat, are you here available and with a working microphone?
Yes.
All right. Do you mind if I ask some questions?
Okay.
All right. Um, what's a what's a season that you really like that you most enjoy? Is it winter, spring,
I
summer?
love summer
You love summer. Why is that?
because in summer we can go out.
Okay. We can go out. You're laughing because it's not what we can do now, right? We're
Yes.
restricted. Yeah. Mm. And what else can you do in summer that you really like that particular season? Go out and what else?
Go to the beach. I don't
Where are you
know.
from,
Go out with
Judith?
friends.
Uh,
What?
Go out with friends.
Yes.
Okay. And where are you from originally?
Curicó.
Okay. So which beach do you go to?
Iloca or Pichilemu.
Oh, I enjoy my summer days in Pichilemu. Really. And it's not really a wonderful beach, but it's the whole thing, right? It's the good times you have there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good place. All right. So what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to share um, the answers that you gave, right? Let's see if that's possible. Uh, Let me see. Let me try again. Okay, so I'm from Linares. I was born in Santiago. Right, like to play the guitar, watch videos in YouTube, videos about music and video games. Okay, let's take up the first part. Right, I'm from Linares. So if we have to decide between strong and weak forms, we know that strong forms are used for content words, right? For nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs, always strong forms. And for all the rest, all the function words, we usually use weak forms, right? So which do you think are the content words in this first section? And therefore, we have to use strong forms. Is, for example, from. Is from uh, a content word or a function word? Do we say I'm from Linares or I'm from Linares? Should we use a strong form or a weak form for this? What do you think?
Week could be.
A, a weak, exactly, a weak form. Therefore, uh, we are using a schwa here, right? I'm from Linares. Linares is important information here, right? I'm from Linares. So from, and not from, not a strong form, from, but a weak form. What about the next one? I was born in Santiago. I was born in Santiago. Which
Strong.
weak? Which one?
Strong.
Okay. And which do you think could be used as a weak form here? I was born in Santiago. I was born in Santiago. Which do you
Was.
think was perfect? So was is a weak form, right? Was we used schwa here in general, right? Was born in Santiago, born in Santiago, and even in uh, could be used only as a syllabic syllable, like Guns and Roses, right? That 80s band, born in Santiago, right? Santiago is very important here. Born is very important here, right? So all of those are used as a strong form. Next one, I like to play. What do you think? I would like to the author for this Diego, right? Diego, can you read again your sentence, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
I like to play the guitar. Watch videos in YouTube. Videos about music and video games.
Okay. What are the important words in this first sentence or statement?
Mm, maybe play the guitar.
Play guitar.
YouTube.
Okay. Is watch important here?
Yes.
Yes. Is videos important here?
Yes, I think.
Yes. It is important because what is it that you watch, right, in YouTube? I mean, it's like
Okay.
obvious, right?
Yes,
But
I was thinking about it.
I know you were thinking about like what's the teacher talking about? I mean, it's obvious. Yeah, but videos, it's a content word. It's a noun. Therefore, we're using a strong form, right? And which we should consider, yeah, which elements we should we consider them as weak form here?
Two.
Two, right? Two, which becomes a weak form. Therefore, we say t. I like to play. Like to play, right? I like to play. To play
The.
is the a weak form here?
I like to play the guitar. I like to. Mm, I'm a little confused, but I think so.
Exactly, exactly. I like to play the guitar, any guitar, the guitar. I like to play the guitar, not the ukulele, not banjo, right? The guitar. So there I'm using a strong form. Otherwise, it's just the guitar, right? So we're talking about weak form here, the with the schwa, right? The. Um, so what's the point here? The point is that whenever you use English, there are some elements that you have to make more prominent, which are the content words, right? All the nouns, the adjectives, the verbs, and the adverbs. And whenever you're using any other element in a sentence that could be called a function word, such as uh, prepositions in the first one, right? Prepositions, such as some verbs or auxiliaries and modals, right? When I say auxiliaries, I mean do or does, like, do you like jazz or does she like ice cream? Okay. Modals, when I say modals, I mean can, for example, like, can you open the door, please? Or would or could, all right? All of those are considered function words, therefore they can be reduced. They have a strong and a weak form, and most of the times we used the weak form, the one having the schwa, okay? Therefore, that's a decision that we have to make while we are speaking English. Because English is a lexical stress language, right? We have to stress certain elements and others, right, are reduced, particularly the function words. I'm going to skip the next exercise, and I'm going on purpose, and then I'm going to come back to it. But I would like to show you some sentences, and I would like to see if you perceive or understand different thing when we are using, for example, the strong form or the weak form. When we're saying am or when we're saying am, okay? And remember that the weak form will usually take the vowel sound called schwa, okay? So we have 8 sentences, and I'm going to ask, go from the bottom, Valentina Valdez to read the first one, Sebastián number 2, Pia 3, Omar 4, Marieta 5, Kelly 6, Javier de la Fuente 7, and Ignacio Joffre, the last one. And read the sentences first with the strong form and then with the weak form.
Teacher,
First, yes.
which was mine? I am Omar.
Omar should be 1, 2, 3, 4, number 4.
Okay, okay.
All right. Valentina, do you have a working microphone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. I am an English teacher in Portland. And now I have to say again, right?
Yes, with the weak form.
Okay. I am an English teacher in Portland.
So
I don't
in
know.
the first,
I kinda notice the difference.
right, in the first one, when you use a strong form, you say I am an English teacher in Portland. And when you use the weak form, you say I am an English teacher in Portland. I am an English teacher, right? So try again, please.
I am an English teacher in Portland. I am an English teacher in Portland.
Right, so in the first one, when you use the strong form, you emphasize this section of the sentence, right? I am an English teacher. And when you're using the weak form, this is not important. So I am an English. So probably you emphasize this element in the sentence, right? English or teacher. I am an English teacher in Portland. I'm an English teacher in Portland. In general, this word English, the adjective, would be the one carrying the sentence stress here. Okay, when it's so I am or I am an English. I am an English teacher in Portland, and I am an English teacher in Portland. That would be sort of the different in terms of pronunciation.
Okay.
Alrighty. Who's in charge? Thank you so much. Who's in charge of number 2? I believe Sebastian. Sebastian?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one with a strong from, like, right? And the second one with a weak from, with a schwa.
I am an English teacher from Portland. That's the strong form. Now with the weak form. I am an English teacher from Portland.
Right, so in the first one, you stress from Portland. And in the second one, you're probably shifting the stress to the place, right? From Portland.
Yes.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Now let's take a look at the third one, and then we go and see if we see any differences. Okay. Pia Cerda, do you have a working microphone?
Yes.
Okay. So with a strong should, right? And then with the weak form.
He said that she should see a doctor.
Okay.
Read again.
Yes, please.
He said that she should see a doctor.
Okay, so in the first one, when you're using the strong form, he said that she should see a doctor. And in the second one, she said that she should see a doctor. He said that she should see a doctor. Okay. Now let's take a look at the differences. In number one, I am an English teacher in Portland. The strong form would probably mean that you want the listener to really believe that you are an English teacher. I am an English teacher in Portland. You may believe it or not. I may not look like a teacher. Maybe I don't look like a teacher, but I am an English teacher in Portland. That's the point of emphasizing am and using a strong form for the verb am. Otherwise, if you're just stating that you are an English teacher, right, you don't emphasize am, and you say, I am an English teacher in Portland. I'm an English teacher in Portland. I'm an English teacher in Portland. That's the sort of common way to say this, right? Not emphasizing am. If you're emphasizing or using the strong form for am, the implication is probably, believe me, I am a teacher, an English teacher. You may believe it or not, but I am. Okay. So that's the importance of using or not using a strong or a weak form for these specific words, right? In number two, I am an English teacher from Portland. From Portland. From, the point of emphasizing the preposition from or using the strong form is emphasizing the origin or the place where the person is from. I'm an English teacher from Portland, not from any other place. Maybe I give a very huge importance to this place. Maybe I am very proud of this place, or maybe that's where the best teachers come from. So I'm an English teacher from Portland. I'm not from any other little town. I'm an English teacher from Portland. So there's the using a strong form for a preposition which usually takes a weak form. It has a connotation. It has a specific change of meaning, okay, from the part of the speakers. And in number three, he said that she should see a doctor. He said that she should see a doctor instead of saying he said that she should see a doctor, right? If you remember, or if you don't know, should is used to give advice, right? So he said that she should see a doctor. That's emphasizing the fact that I'm giving this piece of advice. I'm not saying that she must see a doctor. I'm not saying that it's mandatory, that it's an obligation, but that it's a piece of advice. I'm suggesting that she should see a doctor, right? That she should see a doctor. It's not an obligation. I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving this recommendation, suggestion, right? Piece of advice. Okay, so that's the point of stressing should and not right. I'm saying that she should see a doctor. She should see a doctor, or do something else. He said that she should do some exercise. He said that she should play some video games because she's stressed. Okay, that's sort of the idea here is that it's stressing the point of giving a piece of advice, a recommendation, and not stating an obligation or something mandatory. Okay, let's take a look at number 4 and see if it clarifies a little more what we're dealing with. We have, I believe here, Omar, go for it, please.
They were able to find a job despite the difficult market.
That's a strong form, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with
Yes.
the weak form?
And the weak one is they were able to find a job despite the difficult market.
Exactly. So they were able to find a job despite difficult market. And they were able to find a job despite the difficult market. Do you perceive any difference?
I think that in the weak form, despite become like the the strong the strong word, or the strong form.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So imagine this context, imagine this situation, right? They, you know them, they are, a little bit irresponsible. They are not, you cannot count on them. They are always arriving late to meetings. They are, not very punctual. So you don't know, or you don't think they are ever going to find a job, right? But they were able to find a job despite the difficult market. They were able. Wow, I'm impressed. They were able to find a job. Even they were so responsible, not punctual, and all the negative aspects that you can think of. They managed to land a job. They managed to get a contract. They were able to find a job. So that's, I mean, when you are emphasizing when you are using the strong form, the connotation here in this context is they were able. Wow, they achieved what they were looking for. In this case, a job, right? Otherwise, you're not using a strong form for where. Just say they were able to find a job. They were able to find a job despite the difficult market. Okay, so the connotation by using a strong form for where, they were able, right? There might be certain emotions from the part of the speaker in terms of maybe not believing that they were going to make it. Okay, so there is a subtle change of meaning whenever you're using a strong form instead of a weak form, which is in most of the cases what you have to use in this case. Let's keep walking this path, right? Let's see if next exercise clarifies a little bit more. Who was in charge of the next one? Was it Marieta? Were you in charge of the next one?
Yes. Okay. The strong form is, do you know where he comes from? And I am not sure, but in the weak form is that you know where he comes from?
Right, right. In the strong form, well, when you emphasize or use the strong form, you say, do you know where he comes from? Do you know where he comes from? And in the weak form, you say, do you know? Do you know? Because you shift the stress, right? Do you know? Do you know where he comes from? Okay. That's
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That's in terms of pronunciation, right? Do you know where he comes from? And do you know where he comes from? Now, what's the connotation when you choose to use a strong form instead of a weak form for an auxiliary? Because an auxiliary is like always, a weak form. Do you know where he comes from? Any idea? Check in the chat box if there's any answer in the chat box. All right. When someone says, do you know where he comes from? Basically, the person is, I guess, saying, do you know where he comes from? Yes or no? Stop playing around. Don't mess with me. Do you know where he comes from? Where he comes from? Yes or no? Do you know? Okay. Do you know? Yes or no? So in general, you don't sound like that. You don't want the other person to say right away if he or she knows an answer, right? Like saying, Omar, so do you know the answer, Omar? Yes or no? Do you know? I would never I would never say that, right? So in general, you would use a weak form. And you would say, do you know? Do you know? Probably, So do and you would have a weak form. And I would place the stress of the sentence in the verb. Do you know? Do you know where he comes from? Do you know where he comes from? Okay, so I guess,
Okay.
yeah, that would be the connotation, right? The change
Yes,
of meaning.
I understand the difference.
All right, all right. You may disagree with me, all right? Because that's the good thing about being in a class. You can say, teacher, I don't think I agree. I agree with you.
So
Yeah,
in the weak form is do you know? Do know
exactly.
is
In
more
the
do you know?
Yes, the weak form is the.
Do
Do
you
you
know?
know? Do you know? Right? Do you
Okay,
know? Do you know?
do you know?
In general, right?
Okay.
I mean, you can still say, do you know? Do you know? Right? But the point is, we non-native speakers, particularly speakers of syllable time languages or languages that pay a lot of attention to syllables, like Spanish, right? We tend to give each syllable the same importance. Do you know where he comes from? Do you know where he comes from? Okay, and that's the point, that in English you don't give every single uh, syllable the same importance, right? You have to select which syllables are the most important, and so some elements are going to be strong forms, and for some you're going to use weak forms. In the case of do and you, in general, you use weak forms. Alrighty?
Okay. Thank you, teacher.
Alrighty. Who do you think would be in charge of the next one? Could it be Kelly? Kelly Valdez? Number 6? Yes, no?
Yes, teacher, I'm here.
Okay, great. Can you read it, please, with a strong them
Um,
and then with a weak form?
okay. I leave the assignment to them. I leave the assignment to them.
Okay. So in the first one, I'll give the assignment to them. I'll give the assignment to them. And in the second one, I'll give the assignment to them. I'll give the assignment to them. To them, to them. Do you think there's any difference if you say, I'll give the assignment to them with a strong them, or I'll give the assignment to them with a weak form? This question is open for everyone, right? What do you think could be the difference?
I think when you say strong them, it's maybe like saying like them, like these three people instead of these other three, like them. I am stressing them instead of the other people. So that's what I think is the strong form of them. And the weak form, I'll give the assignment to them. I'm emphasizing more the assignment itself.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I'll give the assignment to them, to these, as you said, right? To these three people and not to all the class. Perfect. And I'll give the assignment to them. I'll give the assignment to them. The assignment to them and not any other thing, any other activity, and not the karaoke activity, but the assignment to them. Exactly. Exactly. Very good point. To them implies that you are specifying or giving specific information about one group, one subgroup, right? So to them and not to the other, right? Not to the other ones. Perfect. Let's take a look at the next one, number 7. And for number 7, I think Javiera, maybe Javiera de la Fuente. Javiera, are you here? I'm calling your name, Javiera. Not here. Javier de la Fuente, not with a working microphone. How about Ignacio Jofre? Ignacio, are you available?
Yes. The
All right.
number 7.
7, please. Stressing.
She's one of our most valued students.
And with the weak form?
She's one of our most valued students.
I really liked the way you read it first. She's one of our most valued students. Excellent. She's one of our most valued students. In the second one, because you're using a weak form, you're emphasizing a different word, right? In the sentence. She's one of our most, maybe, she's one of our most valued students.
Yes.
Exactly, right? So what do you think the difference could be? This is an open question for everyone in the room. What's the difference if you use, yeah?
With the strong hour, it's like to make, I don't know, make the other know that it's belonging to a certain person. For example, it's ours and nobody else's most valued student, I think.
Completely agree with you. She's one of our most valued, our. So you take pride of this, and she belongs to this school and not to any other, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Exactly. There's a connotation. And if you say she's one of our most valued students, you're placing the emphasis on a different aspect. Most valued students. Most valued. Exactly. Exactly. That's a good point. So our, in general, have to be used in its weak form, unless you want to emphasize that point, right? Exactly. Excellent. And let's take a look at number 8.
Teacher, we can hear you.
Yes, you're in silence.
Yes, thank you. Hector Espinosa, do you mind reading aloud the last exercise?
Okay. I'd like Tom and Andy to come to the party. I'd like Tom and Andy to come to the party.
I would like you to read it again this time. In the first time, stress or emphasize the element and, please.
I'd like Tom and Andy to come to the party.
Okay, and in the second time, I don't want you to emphasize that.
I'd like Tom and Andy to come to the party.
All right, so I like Tom and Andy to come to the party. What's the implication there? What do you think? This is an open question.
What? Sorry.
What's the difference if I say I like Tom and Andy to come to the party? What if I say I like Tom and Andy to come to the party?
I think that maybe Andy not are invited, but would come equal when we use and in the strong form, and in the weak form are indicate that the two are invited and the two are going to come to the party.
All right, I totally agree with you, right? Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Maybe Tom, Andy was not invited. Maybe, yeah, he was not invited. So Tom and Andy. So don't forget Andy, right?
Hmm.
All right, don't forget Andy. If you, Tom, if you come alone, if you come on your own and you forget Andy, don't come to the party. I'd like Tom and Andy to come to the party. All right. So that's a point in this exercise. Thank you so much for all of you who read aloud and analyzed these examples. In general, the elements that are at the end, am, from, should, where, do, them, our, and, have two forms, a strong form and a weak form. And in general, is the weak form the one that is used, unless you want to emphasize one aspect, right, that is connected with these words. At that point, you have to use the strong form, right? So in general, you would use a weak form. I am an English teacher. I am an English teacher from Portland. He said that you should see a doctor. So if you're reading this aloud, I'm an English teacher. English would be probably the most prominent word here, not am. I am an English teacher from Portland. Portland would be the most relevant element in the sentence, and not from. And he said that she should see a doctor. Probably doctor could be the most prominent word in the sentence, and not should. But if you choose, if the speaker, right, if you as a speaker choose this word to make them strong, right, there is a change of meaning. There is an implication here. The meaning sort of changes, right? Those are the answers. I think we already discussed them. And these are going to be available because I'm going to upload this presentation to the LMS, okay? It's time for us to have a deserved break. And after the break, we'll continue with strong and weak forms with some exercises, right? Any comment or question before we take a 10-minute break?
Sure.
Alrighty, so I'll see you in 10 more minutes. See you around. Stay tuned, same channel.
Okay, teacher.